Cash and Pete and YS, they had a group. It was a group called the Hood Fellas. The Hood Fellas and the Mob Figures that did an album called the Camp Mob Figures. Like I was telling you, Dre was telling me his plans of how he wanted to. And I used to always be telling him about Cash. I was on my way to Kansas City. Dre looking for some artists. I'm gonna introduce you to him when we get back. He was just like, man, we might as well do an album. We're gonna call it Money Gang. And I remember I woke up, I had like 33 missed calls. At first month, I called back. Told me like, man, you ain't heard? That was my little brother, bro. The shit Dre used to do with me and tell me and shit, I used to be spilling it on him. Grandma passed around that time. Just back to back to back to back on it.
So after that passed and everything, you know what I mean, the Thiz Nation brand started.
Thiz Nation come together.
Then you get the shit popping with the Money Gang with the homie Johnny Cash.
Johnny Dollar, motherfucker.
How that come?
Well, Cash and Pete and YS, they had a group. It was a group called the Hood Fellas. And I think they manager, it was somehow they came in contact with Jack and Hustler and the rest of the guys. And I think it was through the manager, through Corey. I think that's his name. But I think it was through the manager. But he was, you know, the Hood Fellas and the Mob Figures that did an album called the Camp Mob Figures. Cash was on that because he was in the group Hood Fellas. And that's how I first met him. But I hadn't seen him in probably a couple years. And when I did run into him, that's when I was over there at Thiz. And I was telling you, Dre was telling me his plans of how he wanted to get some of the top and the best rappers from the Bay, and he wanted, you know, he wanted to be the head of the shit. And I used to always be telling him about Cash, playing the Camp Mob Figure songs and shit. You never met Cash and shit though, but I used to be playing the shit. And I remember I was staying in Richmond. I was trying to get the Jaguar. I was trying to get a car. Put it that way. I was trying to get this car. I ain't had no license though.
You was trying to get a Jaguar.
Yeah, I was trying. I ain't had no license.
Lincoln, nigga.
And look, the nigga Dre.
Nah,
Dre, we was a scraper. This one niggas was driving scrapers. Nigga Dre was like, Cuddy, you can't be in the scraper. We gotta, you feel me? We gotta get it. We gotta up the ante. So I was trying to get this motherfucking Jaguar. I ain't had no license though, and these motherfuckers up at this car shop. I brought them some cash. And so I keep going back up there trying to get my money back, but they keep trying to write me a check. I don't know motherfucking check. Give me the cash back I gave y'all motherfuckers. They ain't finna let me get no car. I couldn't find nobody to do the license and the insurance and all that other shit. But anyway, I run into Cash. I ain't seen him since probably a couple years, since the Camp Mob Figure shit. And he was going to the car lot and ran into him, and I was telling him, I was on my way to Kansas City. We finna go to Kansas City in probably a week or two. The nigga Dre, you know, I'm over there at Thiz. The nigga Dre looking for some artists and this and that. And I'm gonna introduce you to him when we get back. And that's when we end up going to Kansas City, and that's when that shit happened. But when I did get back in town, I tapped back into my nigga and kind of brought him to the studio, because I had the keys to the studio Dre had up in West Oakland at that time. After Dre passed, I had all access to the studio, so I used to bring Cash to that motherfucker with me. Him and his niggas, and he really was just gonna do a few features on my shit. Come to find out, you know, we locked in. We really started fucking with each other. What? Come on, man. He was one of them boys. And we just started fucking with each other on a day-to-day basis. And just end up, he was just like, man, we might as well do an album. We're gonna call it Money Gang. And that's what we end up doing.
How was that, you know, recording that first thing? Because that's on Thiz without Dre, so what was the feel of that album?
I felt like he was doing what you were supposed to do. Me, for one, because I already knew what his plans was. And you know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure if Dre would have still been, you know, if we'd have came back to Kansas City together and I had got the chance to introduce Cash to Dre, he would have been over there anyway. So I just felt like I was doing what was meant to be did. You know what I'm saying?
At the time, the whole Diz Nation, it's a lot of shine on the shit. When Cudi passed, shit blew up.
Yeah.
The ball really moving now.
That's with everything, with everybody. You know, Tupac, I mean, shit, a lot of, you know, people, you gonna sell the most when you pass. Everybody love you now.
So y'all come out with the Money Gang album.
Do the Money Gang album. I dropped my solo shit. Cause I could have really, you know, the light was on over there. I could have just went full-fledged throttle trying to, you know, do me. That's what a lot of motherfuckers would have did. Yeah, the light over there, you trying to focus on, man, that nigga was raw, nigga. I was like, we bonded, bro. Like that was my little brother, bro. The shit Dre used to do with me and tell me and shit, I used to be spilling it on him. You know what I'm saying?
You remember where you was at when he passed?
Yep. At the house. Y'all had just rented me a big ass 5-bedroom house, nigga, out in the cuts. And I remember I woke up, I had like 33 missed calls. And I remember that first motherfucker I called back told me, like, man, you ain't heard? No, I heard what? And like, I got cash last this morning. And I was like, man, this shit getting out of hand. This shit getting out of hand.
When did the homie Freako pass?
Around that same time frame.
Before Cash?
Yep. Shit, then my grandma passed. Grandma passed around that time. I was in Alaska. Me and Doobie went out there, did a show. Cat came and told me, nigga, I was eating crab, nigga. A crab arm was this. Nigga, a crab leg was the size of my arm, nigga.
That's why you don't like
That's
crab.
why I don't like crab.
I promise you.
Was just talking about that shit.
Yeah.
The boy, I used to love that shit though. There's a lot of shit we love until we learn about it. You hear me? But nigga, I had a crab nigga leg this big on my plate. My nigga who was throwing the show. It was funny. He was a Bay. Hey, he from the Bay, but he was out in Alaska throwing the show, and he know my family. He was like, man, told me the news. I jumped on that red-eye flight that night. We got up out of there. Yup, shit was just back to back on it.
It's like what, 05?
Yep, like 05.
What lanes you go in after that with the rap shit?
Prior to even that, like around the time me and Cash was doing the Money Gang shit, I kind of was easing off that shit for a number of reasons. I was, you know, mostly had my hands in other endeavors, you know, and a nigga gonna roll with whatever's profitable. Now, not to say that the music wasn't profitable, it's just that my business wasn't in order.
Did you have kids prior to?
Yeah, I had my first kid when the first Mafia album came. Yep, first Mafia album dropped. I had just had my oldest daughter. So at this time, it's probably 3 deep. On my way to, I was moving and grooving, man. It was a hot summer. It was a hot summer.
Family going.
Yeah. Plus, you know, with all of this shit going on, I for sure wanted to leave some of me behind.